Speedy recap of session 19. We pick up with the Hand of Aegis at the Warrior and Cup in West Meanderings, heading to meet up with Marius at the Cup and Rat. Eska hands over the documents before departing that she picked off Leroy Van Gessel, who had an invite to meet with the Minister for Commerce. And then there was some other documents to do with commercial orders and trade routes and stuff. And then there's a conversation about how the group is going to get into the castle. Eska suggests using seeming to disguise as Van Gessel and retinue, and then also bring Drake's Warden uniforms. En route to Dark Orchard, Smokey shifts back out of rat form, tearing Bardol's pocket in the process. Marius hands over a bag with 2 scrolls and 2 sending stones, gives directions to the holding cells, sewers, and minister's offices. Claire reaches out again to Coalesce and confirms that they are alive, not moved, poorly guarded, and something big is happening. There's a discussion about who should be who should cast what spells, and turns out that seeming is the big issue, because that is a spell that that no one can cast yet, whereas Locate Creature, Smokey is actually able to prepare. So you have a scroll of Locate Creature and a scroll of Seeming. Eska scouts out a guard patrol to copy and use those as the templates for most of the group, with Smokey as the prisoner, to take down the cells. And then there's a discussion about timing, whether it should be done during the parade, during the tournament. Either way, there's the opportunity to participate in the treasure hunt. There's a night that is slept. We wake up on the 3rd of Uktar, the day of deliverance. Aelstat provides the rules for the treasure hunt. Cassette, Eska, and Smokey run to the city to look for prizes, with the others trailing behind. And then 4 treasures are found. 3 of them are chocolate. 1 of them is melted chocolate, because it was handled by someone in a blacksmith, and they just didn't think it through. And so we picked up, I think we actually picked up at the blacksmith. I have the clues given in a different order, but I think you went to the statue of the sailfish that's overlooking Drakesport first, and then went down to the blacksmith.
Yeah, Cossack got a chocolate from the smithy.
The melty chocolate.
Yes.
And I think that is where we left off. So, it is still kind of, probably at this stage, mid-morning on the 3rd of Uktar. It is cold still. Thankfully, there's just a light breeze. Otherwise, it would be a little rough in places. But the high is like right around, like just a notch above freezing. So it is a chilly day. Any questions before we get going?
Can I punch the purveyor in the face?
If you see him, you are certainly welcome to try.
Okay.
At your discretion. What do you guys want to do?
They were mid-playing the game, right?
Yeah, so far they found 2 each.
Did the smithy give us another clue?
No, if you recall, the clue givers and the treasure givers are different people. So you would need to
Oh,
find someone
okay.
else with a white dragon hat. White dragon hats give clues. Black dragon hats give prizes.
I think we both did our clues, right? So
Yeah, I mean, you get more clues if you want.
yeah. I mean, I'm for just kind of wandering around and seeing the other things going. And if we
Yeah.
see more clues, you know, maybe getting some more chocolate. Do we have a specific other like event that we wanted to look at? Oh, refresh. There's you said there was the melee, and
So
then
at 12 p.m. there's a
It-
parade, which leads to the Great Green, and then there's going to be jousting and combat after that, and nightfall fireworks display.
Yeah. And that is accurate. So you've probably got maybe an hour or so before the parade starts. To the best of my knowledge, you have still not decided when you're actually going to attempt your coup.
so that's leaving that decision up to the people who tend to be a little sneakier.
I guess at some point we should check out what traffic is like in front of the castle. Because if we see a good opportunity, we were thinking to just go in.
Yeah,
There's
like
a
if they
pub-
start moving if there's like a surge kind of coming up to the parade type thing. If the opportunity presents itself kind of situation.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Would you want to start heading that way then?
I guess
At
we
the
could head
moment you
towards the
are-
castle. If they find more clues, they find more clues.
All right. So you get onto this road, which leads from the western gate down here.
Are we
Up.
seeing... A quick question, sorry, just as we're traveling. Are we seeing much in the way of weaveworms?
Occasionally, yes. So the there are patrols still. It's harder to pick them out because there is just more activity in general on the streets. But there are patrols present, some of which have weaver.
Okay.
You would think there may be slightly more patrols than you're used to seeing. But maybe not necessarily a particularly significant increase in weaveworms themselves. But maybe just more guards milling the streets in general.
Okay.
So as you come down the, it's just called the Western Road, which is this sort of like wider street that is leading from the gate towards the core. You do find standing. You're actually not too far away from the Phoenix Archive. That was one of the little streets that you went past. But on the other side of the road from that you took down to the Phoenix Archive, you peek down there. You do see someone with a white dragon hat, so you are able to go up if you want.
I'm in.
I'll go with him. Her, sorry.
No one else seems enthused.
Not so much. I mean, you do the figuring, and I'll.
We
do
just
the
feel like a couple of
snack.
children.
Eska's happy for you, but she's letting you guys do this.
Okay. 2 clues, please, I
Right.
suppose.
Alrighty. One second. Let me just find you a couple of good clues. Oh, I like this one. Okay. So Cosette, you go and you ask for a clue, and you're provided with this. Amidst the mist where dreams take flight, I dwell where magic weaves its light. And then Smokey. In the district where stars align, you'll find me where mystics read the sign.
Is there... So, only the upper class or, like, chosen are able to use magic? Is that how it works? Or is it... Forget it. Is it, like, officials that are able to do it because of... or civilians?
It's very vague.
Okay.
What you've been told is that the practice of magic is not permitted within the city wall. That's like the official policy. But for one thing, there's a house floating over a big green. And that isn't a mundane thing that's happening there. That's very magical. So, and you've also heard specifically that the person who hosts those, there's someone who hosts meetings at Cloud Lodge, and she is known as a practicer of the arcane arts. So there is absolutely some sort of double standard going on, but the ins and outs of it are muddy.
So there's no, like, place where it's okay to... Or where they... Just trying to think of, like, where magic weaves its light. Like, some place where they actually do allow magic that we know of, right?
Right. That's correct.
And nothing with mist, like, no falls or anything like that.
No, inside the city, it's very, very flat.
I don't have much on mine. Other than
Is there,
take
is there
flight
some sort
in
of stargazing
City.
area? that we
You
know
are
of?
not that you know of, but that doesn't mean there isn't one. I mean, you always have the option of just accosting random people on the street and asking them.
I guess that's fine. Just kind of keeping a look around as we mission important places.
In that case, I'm gonna need you to give me a what'd you call it?
Perception?
One of those. Yes, thank you. Perception check.
Both of us?
Yes, unless you're planning on accosting someone.
No, I'll keep an eye out. Oh dear. Natural
Total of
one.
2. Very distracting.
We
day.
are so into this.
Lots going on.
Would anybody else care to keep an eye out for him? Or are you just gonna let him suffer? You're welcome to let him suffer. That's fine.
Yeah, Asker will be keeping an eye over their shoulder.
I mean,
Throw me a.
the only thing I'm keeping an eye out is to see if we're just getting people staring at us or anything.
Okay. Give me a perception check for a different reason then.
Okay.
19 from Esker.
Okay.
Feel like if I can join Bardur.
Yeah, absolutely.
Five. Alright.
27.
That's a yikes. But in a good way. Alrighty. So, Baldur, you looking around. One thing does catch your eye. There is, as you're walking through the city, and you're sort of on the way heading towards the center of the core. On one of the streets that heads back towards the docks, perched at the top of one of the buildings, watching you intently, is a falcon. Looks kind of familiar. And as you look at it, it looks very pointedly at you and blinks intently.
I'll kind of get Silvarius's attention and point up to the falcon and say, I think we've got a friend.
I'll look up at it. He kind of looks around. We're in a crowded space, right?
There's a fair amount of foot traffic, yeah.
What do you make of that, Bardu?
Weirdly, it seemed to acknowledge me. So I think it's that fellow back Delzimmer.
Ooh, yeah.
We were on. This is out of character. We were on fairly decent terms with them, right?
Yeah.
Thought so.
had his. I swear I had his name written down.
He was the bench guy, right? Sat on the bench a
Gethin.
lot.
Yeah.
He was Benchy McBenchface.
Gethin.
Geth, yeah.
Or yes, Gethin. To use his real name.
Yes.
In particular, you would eventually recall that this bird appears to be the one he introduced as Rowry,
Rowry.
which I will pop in the chat there for you.
Yeah, that's gonna be it. Ah, yeah.
So yes, as a reminder, Gethin is a member of the Velvet Glove, and also acted as a contact for you with the Court of Bofin.
That's what was in my notes. I was about to.
Well, never mind.
Well, you had it. You.
Yep, you see that falcon.
Do I see anything?
Not yet. I mean, you could see the falcon if you'd probably see it if they kind of have stopped pointing out.
I mean, I don't want to make it out like too noticeable, like pointing and being like, look, it's a bird.
You
it's a plane.
guys.
But I mean, I would actually probably go after that and just kind of chatting with Sylvie for a bit, probably going over to Eska and being like, that bird up there is from, I think, from that falconer over in Delzimmer. Can you do that brain thing where you talk to him? See what's up?
I don't know, cause that's magic, so I don't.
Oh yeah.
I would feel nervous about that.
Well, maybe when we get out of here, we can touch base with them.
Yes, perhaps that it's just keeping an eye on our progress. If not, it's going to have to be more Eric.
Interesting. Okay, so you continue on.
Did I?
presumably.
So I didn't see anything
You haven't seen anything yet that would
signify what we were looking for.
correct.
Okay.
It may just be that you're not in the right part of town for it right now.
Yeah.
Eventually, you come out into the large courtyard. To your right, you have the large building that is the main Drake's Warden guardhouse thing. There's the large dragon statue in front of you. And then to the left, you have the Wormspire. Currently, you would say that the number of guards is more than you are used to. On the walls in front, definitely an increased presence. You see half a dozen weaveworms at the base, like at the gate themselves. You see about 20 guards, and up on top you see about 10, just looking down into the courtyard area. They see you walk in, insofar as there are people looking around. There doesn't seem to be any particular alarm at the arrival of your group.
So I feel like if we are going to keep moving around as a group, we may miss what we need to see here. Perhaps I could stay and keep watch and then come find you if when I see a change for positive. I would hate to miss our opportunity. Is there any objections to that?
Real quick, out of character. Did we have a set of sending stones for us?
You do.
Okay. I'll go and bring that up as far as no need to search for. We have these, remember? Slightly, barely flash. Well, it'll just kind of like point to the bag.
Do we know if when you use a sending stone, it gives off a magical charge?
Roll an Arcana check for me, anyone who wishes to investigate this information.
Yeah, Eska will ask that because she doesn't really know magic. So
Yeah, sorcerers tend to not. 20.
So you would know that it functions similarly to the spell that Claire uses to reach out over long distances. What you don't know for certain is if the activation of it would have the same effect as Claire casting the spell herself, because the item is imbued with this magical capability already. And so, for instance, you wouldn't expect other magical items to just set the weaveworms off by being a magical item. Likewise, you don't think that having a spell cast before getting into close proximity with the weaveworms, that doesn't seem to have triggered them. So the question is, are you actively casting magic when you use the stone, or are you merely tapping into pre-existing magic? And even with a 20, you cannot be 100% certain. You feel like your gut instinct, and Silverus does like to trust his gut, far I can tell. Gut instinct would be that because the magic is innate inside the item already, it may not react the same way as if a spell was being cast again. But you cannot be 100% sure.
It just says, you should be fine.
She'll tuck it away and say, maybe this can be more of a last resort if trouble is brewing or such, but maybe I would just come find you if it is not an emergency. We will have to leave. We'll have to leave the city anyway to put our disguise in place. So that would be my preference. But it would be good to have in case things go strange or bad for either
Indeed.
side.
There is no sense in me carrying them both.
If perhaps we could have a prearranged time to meet back here if nothing changes anyway, and that way if I find it difficult to find you, I will know where you're at that time.
Is there other clocks in this city? Or do they have any kind of large scale time management that we've passed by? I mean, not like, obviously not like Badger Downs, which had the massive clock, but is there like,
Right.
or will we base it on like event structure?
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been anything quite like that. Yeah, no, sort of like clock towers that you've seen really.
You can't tell the time by the sun, Savarius?
It is a little overcast.
Says Sylvaris.
Oh, you can't see through the clouds in the same way? I guess that must be an elvish thing.
So in a way, the best way to tell time today, besides your just sort of like internal clock, is the fact that you know certain events are happening at certain times. So yeah, parade
the-
12.
So,
instance.
so if nothing else, if I do not come find you, we could meet back here when the parade starts, perhaps.
That isn't too long from now, is it?
I don't believe so, but I want to keep my eyes open. I would hate to miss a better chance. But I also don't think that all of us can stand around in the square with the increased watchfulness of the guards.
Does Eska still have her hood?
Yeah,
And can I, if I were to bring Kedox out, can I say if I got up close to Eska, can I bring Kedox out like or can I like summon him sort of like already like tucked away and hidden in Eska's hood maybe?
how big is Kedox?
I mean, he can curl down pretty good.
He's about the size of a cat, isn't he?
Yeah. That's what I always thought. Not too big. Maybe a big cat, but I never imagined him very big. But honestly, I don't know. He's tiny.
He's tiny. Drag.
I always thought they were like shoulder dragons.
Yeah.
I think the problem is I'm imagining a shoulder dragon for Silvarius.
Oh.
And the shoulder dragon for Silvarius would be a more bulky creature in my mind than a shoulder dragon for Eska.
Oh, here we go. This is from something, and it said about a foot long with a 2-foot tail. That's a long tail.
That's a long tail, yeah.
Body's about a foot long, and then really long tail. But yeah, I mean,
Either that or, I mean, Eska's got enough drape on her cloak. Perhaps he
yeah.
could
I mean, I would think.
rest around the midsection.
Also, if you just kind of like look around, and Bador and Eska, you've got reasonable perception checks kind of up at the moment. There are people who have animals. There are shoulder critters. It's not out of the ordinary, especially for some of the nobility, who are, they've got sort of fashion pets basically,
Mm-hmm.
ranging from, mundane creatures, relatively mundane, to clearly magical creatures of various sorts. There's what look to be sort of little fey creatures and that sort of thing. So a shoulder dragon would not be that out of place on any other day, perhaps. But I mean, this is about as on brand as you can be.
Okay.
Eska will take Kedox and tie him around her waist like a belt.
Kedox uses shocking grasp.
And 20 guards and half a dozen weave worms come flying towards you.
Towards Eska.
That's true. Towards Eska.
Me and Smokey both don't see it.
Just back off, hands in the air, like, whoa, what's going on? It was her. Okay, maybe not that. Kedox does fight becoming a belt, though.
So you want me to hold on to Kedox?
I can keep a limited range communication with him. Through the crowded streets, it may prove more beneficial, save some time.
Eska sighs and says, "Very well."
Think of it as an assistance. You'll survive. He won't hurt you that bad.
Eska pats her shoulder.
Sylvaris tells Kedox to play nice. He says,
Don't bite her.
and crooks a smile at Eska.
You'll know if he does.
On that note, don't you dare.
So, Eska, where are you going to post up?
She's probably gonna attempt to just sort of wander around the square like a tourist, looking at things for long periods of time,
Okay.
rather
there
than
is
sort of keep
the-
a noticeable watch out.
There is that tavern available too. It's a 2-story tavern.
Oh yeah, so she might do that for a while and then go grab a drink at the tavern, sit at a window, or it had outside seating, right? Or did it just have open, but like one side was pretty open?
Yeah, I don't think it has. Here we go. I think I found it. I was like, I know I have it somewhere. Hearthstone Inn, I think is the name. Yes. There we go. So yeah, it's a 3-story building. That is on, it's like, if I zoom in, I'll be able to explain better. So, you've got the guard building that's sort of like on the south corner. It's this sort of triangle building on the southwest corner, looking in. And there's not really outdoor seating, but there's a lot of windows that look out onto the square. Because I know that people are interested in looking out there. So yeah, you could probably head in there. It might be tricky for, well, I don't know. There's a lot of people running around doing the treasure hunt right now. So you may be able to find a space. Plus, there's 3 floors, so
If she needs
better
to,
odds.
she will try and ingratiate herself with a slightly drunken patron to sit at their window table.
Always possible. All right, so are you heading in there then?
Yeah, she'll probably do one like loop of just slowly looking at everything, and then once she's, seen as much as she can seem like she's interested in, she will head in and find a seat.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, and you kind of do a little loop, and it's interesting. It's clear where the traffic kind of moves in this area, because you can tell just looking. Some of the cobbles underfoot are dirtier than others, but it's as a result of not being trodden on as much, so they're not like constantly having their surface kicked off. So they've just sort of like accumulated a bit of dirt that way, whereas the trodden paths actually weirdly look cleaner, because any muck is constantly being picked up by other shoes. So there's like clear areas where people walk, and there's like a would it be almost like a cone shape coming out from the gate. I'll attempt to kind of draw what I'm talking about here. So imagine it kind of, oh, that's far too thick. Hold on. Delete. I get much thinner. So like, kind of like this. These areas here closer to the walls look like nobody's trodden over there in a long time. Because why would anybody go up to the wall there? All you could do when you get there is just be at the bottom of a really tall wall. You can't do anything with it. And so no one really goes over that area. Lots of people go up to look at the statue. And I mean, it's a big statue. It's a very big statue. Very, very impressive dragon there. Which, I mean, you've taken a look at it previously, I believe.
Yeah.
And then you can see that there's a lot of foot traffic milling around. Most of the buildings in this square seem to be private buildings. But you would imagine that they're quite valuable. Certainly, they are well maintained. The paint looks fresh. There's like really nice ornate wooden shutters on most of the windows. It feels like, you'd be living somewhere pretty safe if you're right next to the castle, because you know that there's guards there all the time. This is probably some of the more well-to-do people in the city, realistically. Yeah, you mill around. Again, you notice the very sizable presence at the moment on the wall. Well, on the wall and at the gate. There are still, every now and then, someone will walk up and be granted entry, much like you saw before. Yeah, eventually you can head over to the inn. Like it says, 3-story building, and in the downstairs main room, there's a large central fire pit that kind of creates, especially on a day like today, There's a lot of people gathered close to that for warmth. Although I dare say some of the alcohol is doing a bit of work there. And as soon as you go through the door, you get a nice smell of, even just from a sniff, you can tell this place probably has some of the better food that you would have experienced on the island so far, if you have some. There's a bunch of tapestries on the walls, including a couple that at a glance you can reasonably assume are to do with the Day of Deliverance itself. You see these sort of like stone versions of this great green dragon and someone stepping out to fight it, that sort of thing. And then, yeah, on one side of the room there's a large polished oak bar and then stairs leading up.
Yeah, should just try and probably go for like a second or third story.
Okay.
See how the window seats are looking.
Yeah. If you head up, you do see actually there's quite a nice balcony that you can get onto on the second floor. That looks out over the courtyard area. Very nice view of the statue. Weirdly, like, you're now at roughly head height with the dragon. A little icky. And you're still not as high up as the top of the walls of the Worm Spire. Like the outer wall. But yes, there actually is, there's one empty table, and then there's a couple of tables that look like they have people who have probably been there most of the morning. So you could definitely find a seat either on your own or just rock up at one of those tables.
She might rock up at one of the other tables and see if she can find somebody that looks like they want company.
Give me an insight check.
She will also... Oh, 10. She'll also
Okay.
prioritize somebody that, you know, looks like they've got money to burn and looks a bit lonely.
Okay. There's yeah. There is looks like there's a group who have taken up 3 tables. You think they're probably all connected. They have they're all wearing like similar colors. Colors looks like they would be from elsewhere. So like probably you know, it's not the green that you see associated with Drakesburg area. They've got like dark blue with little orange flashes. They all look, they have the distinct smell of money, not literally. So probably some sort of merchant from elsewhere. And there is one of them, rather rotund older gentleman halfling. This is rotund for a halfling, so definitely very round. Who is sitting nursing a pint of some sort of drink. Looks quite out of it, quite tired. Seems like it could be a good mark.
She will put her head down, wander over, and smile and say, would you mind some company? It is a sad day to have to spend alone, and I am not from here, so it would be nice.
He sort of looks up at you a little bleary-eyed and says, you'd be very welcome, yes. Please sit.
Oh, thank you.
I am Silas.
It is a pleasure to
Oh, my.
make your acquaintance.
My friends typically call me Silas the Round. I don't really care for, but it's sort of stuck now. You may have heard of me. I have been rather successful in my business dealings here and elsewhere.
The name does sound familiar.
Well, yes, I'm sure. Would you care for a drink?
Oh, well, I mean, if you're offering, I won't say no.
He just like flings a hand up and waves frantically. And you see a well-dressed human female, probably late 20s, early 30s. Walks over. She's got an apron on that's like covered in different pins and badges that she's like just glancing at it. You recognize a couple of symbols of some of the more prominent merchant families from up near the Moon Sea, as well as you think you might even recognize a couple of the more famous symbols of some Waterdeep families. Like, apparently she's been collecting these badges and pins of various people. But she sort of like cuts through easily between the tables. Oh, hello. Got company, lovely. And she gives you a little wink. Says, what will it be, Silas? And he looks to you and says, well, what'll it be?
Oh, do you have anything elven?
Oh, yeah. We got Cormantha Red in right now. We also have a very nice rosé we got in from one of the elven colonies off the coast of, off the Sword Coast. That'd be of interest to you?
That sounds exciting. That would be a new one to me.
Great. Just put that on your tab, shall I, Silas? Oh, that's very kind of you, yes, thank you. And she disappears as quickly as she arrived.
I mean, so Esker's plan is to just listen to his stories and such pleasantly whilst keeping keeping a glance down regularly at the gates. But yeah, she'll, she's not planning anything too sinister or extravagant here, just yeah, that's pretty much the plan.
Alrighty. Give me another perception check.
Oh, it's a 24.
Ew.
Natural 20.
Alright. And then give me a performance check.
Ah. 13.
Okay. You do a pretty convincing job, and Silas is quite happy to get you as many drinks as you want over the course of the next hour or so as you
Should try
wait
and-
for your friends to return.
She'll try and go relatively slowly, just so she doesn't.
Yeah,
You
sure.
know. But yeah, very nice. But yeah, just let me know, I guess, if anything changes.
Alrighty. So the rest of the group. As you see, Eska disappears into the building. Which way are you heading from here? Any preferences?
Is the scavenger hunt still going on?
Well, it's not going on.
Do we get the sense?
You look.
Do we get the sense that anyone's gearing up for to get ready for the parade?
As you just look around, it feels like you do see there are some barricades, but they're still pushed to the side of the roads for now. They don't appear to be like blocking off a route or anything like that yet. As far as general sort of groundswell of people, there doesn't seem to be any kind of any direction that's more or less preferred, let's say.
So
So
I got a question.
yeah.
Does it seem like the buildings are as up close to the castle?
What, as they look on the map?
Yes.
Yeah, they do get quite close. That said, so the walls are it's sort of like 20-25 feet tall.
Mhm.
None of the buildings that are next to the walls are, you know, they're kept well short of that height. It would take an impressive feat to get onto the wall from those buildings. Not impossible. But it would be
Barger looks at Sylvaris. You're gonna have to throw me.
Yeah, right. Basically.
right. It would be that or some other, you know, some lineages are natural jumpers and are very good at vertical leaps. It would be a relatively, I mean, so there's always a gap. You can't literally just like step from the roof and be against the wall. There's always a gap. And you know, I mean, it's a pretty standard sort of like castle wall. So it would be almost impossible to say leap off a roof and grab onto the wall and then climb up the rest of the way. Almost impossible. Not necessarily impossible. And yes, a spell like that would absolutely bring it into the realms of possibility.
Little more possible.
Silverius shoves a grasshopper leg in my mouth and says, "Eat this." Okay. Interesting. And so the door that we're gonna try to like go into, sort of like a side door or whatever. Where was that at in comparison on the map? Roughly? I don't think we've been by there quite yet, but where it was described.
Well, so you would still have to go in through the front gate.
Okay.
And then you were told it was somewhere on the left.
Okay.
So that little building inside the castle walls is the structure that was previously discussed, right?
Yes.
With the the grand entrance for the dignitaries, and smaller entrance off to the left.
Yeah, there is a smaller entrance off to the right as well.
Ah.
That you were told about. But yeah, the main entrance is sort of central and will almost certainly be pretty clear. It's hard to see clearly as you walk past just because there's a bunch of guards in the way. The gates are open, but it's still just hard to see through. So yeah, Hand of Aegis minus Eska, so Hand of Agus, since you have no E. Which way are you heading?
I just kind of look to the others as far as that goes.
Do we have I'm looking around to see. Did we see any kind of like a lighthouse or anything on the water? Like in the docks or anything?
Did you see a lighthouse or anything? Do you know, I think it's entirely possible that you would have seen, yes, I think there would be something like a lighthouse. Let's pop a little blobby. Oh, hoping it'll do like a circle. There we go. So we'll say there is a lighthouse up there on that corner. That makes absolute sense.
Okay.
As a side note, too, every so often Silvarius just attempts to connect with Kedox. Even at a point whenever we may lose range, he still just every now and then does a quick little like ping.
Yeah.
In an effort to, if Eska was closing in, he would catch that and then be able to help facilitate finding each other.
Yeah. And so yeah, so yeah, within 100 feet you can communicate telepathically. And then I mean I still question exactly how that paragraph is supposed to be read. Whether you can see, like, does the seeing through the eyes and ears, well, you don't see through the ears, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Is that also only within 100 feet?
My understanding is that the communication aspect is within 100 feet. He can go on a mission outside of 100 feet, but I lose like contact. I can't see through him. I can't communicate with him, and I hope he survives.
Right.
Is my understanding from what I was reading.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Because I reread it and I was like, just to be sure.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Just for a level 1 spell, I didn't feel like communicating too much was like, I don't know, it didn't feel intentional.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. Gotcha.
Cosette, do you think the clues would be indicating we should look at the lighthouse?
I think it's worth a look.
Make a
No, I don't want to roll any more die.
Yeah, you don't need to roll. Never mind. Okay, so you can head back. Trundle back towards the docks. Now as you get here, back to this green where the statue was, the sailfish. And you look out towards. You can see the lighthouse behind it now, and you're kind of looking at it, and you're like, there doesn't seem to be an immediately obvious way for you to get to it. It is sort of perched on, like there's the city wall that goes along the back of this green, and then it gets sort of like bigger and wider as it heads out into the water, and then where it turns to create the harbor wall proper. On that corner is where the lighthouse is, and it looks like you'd have to be on top of the city wall to get to it. Just looking from here, which I mean is a good distance across from this corner. Admittedly, you can't get closer, but you don't see any obvious steps up or anything like that.
And this is like a green area, like an open area.
Yeah.
Is there any festivities going on here?
Not really. Aside from there was the there's a person in the black hat, the black dragon hat, standing at the base of the sailfish statue.
Oh, from the previous one. Yeah.
So there's a little group of people near there. But this doesn't seem to be one of the focus areas in particular.
Jessica, come back. We need you to get on top of a wall. Emergency.
And you can see from where you're at, you can see the gate. That is there's like a gate that leads out back into another community area beyond. That you more sort of like weird suburban sprawl that's happening beyond the walls.
No. Might be a dead end.
Yes.
Mist. Where dreams take.
I really think that this is something that we can look at the stars through, like a big telescope. But this seems an odd thing.
To the observatory.
That's right. To the observatory!
How much of that was said out loud by your characters? Out of curiosity.
I think the vast majority of it.
Okay. Some there's people milling about, and someone says, "Oh, observatory. You're in the wrong part altogether. You need to go over to the Gate of Stars if you're looking for the observatory."
The Gate of Stars. Where the stars align, obviously. And that would be where, sir?
Yes. Could you point us in the right direction? We have chocolate.
You and every mother's son. Right. Look. You see where the Worm Spire is? Go to the other side of that. All the way. That's it. It's over there.
Perfecto. And he tosses him a chocolate, charges on in that direction.
And he said, no, I've got 3 of my own. Keep it.
Okay.
So it's going to take you a little while to get over there, but you are being sent over to here. This is the Gate of Stars.
Okay.
So you can head along the river, or you can cut through by the Great Green. Your choice.
Question.
Hello.
How long of a walk is that going to be?
Ooh, good 20 plus minutes, you would imagine.
Do we know around about what time it is?
Probably a little bit after 11. Give or take.
Okay. I think I may intercede and say I'm not sure if we have time for going across the city like this. If we're trying to go in around the parade time, anyway.
Smokey just gets the very sad Puss in Boots look.
Roll persuasion.
With the crumpled up hat.
Oh,
Let's see.
I'm rolling terribly.
Smokey just grabs the hat from a passerby and crumples it up.
What should I
That
roll?
would be a 5.
What should I roll against this?
Oh, you can just decide if you think 5's good enough.
I mean, no.
Insight.
I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there may not have been a roll that you would have accepted. but Smokey was clearly trying to persuade you. So
A natural 20 for a total of 40. Nah.
Heart of stone.
I mean, we
Is
knew that about
Is that a
Bardor.
feat?
It's just
All
no,
persuasion checks have a minus 10 penalty to them.
If it's not, let's make it one.
Bardor, do you know Longstrider? Cast it on Smokey. It's the only way we'll get there in time.
I think
Could
I can
not be
actually
a-
take that spell.
There could not be a worse reason to get arrested than the possibility of chocolate.
Imaginary
Tough one.
chocolate, too.
Now you could always try finding another quest giver. That's always a possibility.
I mean, as disappointed as she is, I mean, she'd be fine. I'm fine with kind of scoping out the parade area. I imagine the crowds. So, be okay getting the layout.
So as you head back kind of vaguely towards the middle-ish after this, you get back onto this western road. You do see now there are some of the barricades going in place, and they're starting to block off a lot of these smaller alleyways on this street. And as you look down to your right, as you come out from the sort of the dock area towards the western gate, you see crowds gathering, especially down there. You see, you can see some flags on very long poles. It looks like the western gate is the starting place of the parade. And you would know at this point, there's probably 30-40 minutes until the parade is due to start. And at this point, Eska, you see in between conversations about the sale of barley to a Cholt family, you see the entire raft of guards who were at the gate move off. So all 20 plus half a dozen weaveworms leave. And a much smaller cohort comes through. And you can actually tell that the majority, so now there's only a couple up at the top. Like one on each side of the gatehouse, basically. And then at the bottom, you see 3 guards and 1 weaveworm. The rest have moved off in the general direction of the western gate. And this is, best guess, like 30 minutes before you think the parade is due to start.
Aska's gonna go looking.
Could you be more specific?
No.
Alright.
Well, before she leaves, she will thank her halfling friend for a lovely time. Give him a little peck on the cheek, and head down to the square.
Oh, you're leaving? Oh, okay. He tries to protest, but you give him a little kiss, and he's like, okay.
And I don't know. She doesn't really quite know where they'll have ended up, because they didn't have a fixed situation in mind.
Surprise.
So she
we don't plan. We just do.
I guess what she might do is turn to Kedox and say, help me find them. And she will encourage Kedox to fly up and circle around. And then just start walking the main streets and keeping an eye down in different directions. And just hope that she gets lucky, I guess.
Which direction are you going to head first?
She would go in the direction that they left the square.
Okay. That would be the western road then.
Yeah.
And so you keep an eye on Kedox.
She'll
So I
sort of
imagine
encourage-
it's probably behaving.
Yeah, she'll encourage Kedox to kind of stay roughly above so that he can keep an eye on her, like, you know, track her movements, but have a better vantage, is the idea.
Mm-hmm. Eli. Can you roll perception for Kedox, please?
Yes. And he fortunately has advantage on sight, hearing, and smell.
Covers most of the important ones.
Yeah.
Does a bit.
13.
All right. So yeah, you don't get too far down before Kedox swoops back down to you and kind of he is able to communicate to you the image of the group up ahead.
All right.
And right around that time, Silvarius, you would get a similar but slightly different image of Eska in the road up ahead.
I'll just let the group know.
Eska's searching for us. She should be this way.
So
And try to reunite.
Yeah. Assuming we're successful,
Yeah.
Esko will just
Yeah.
say in a low voice, "This time, the the guard presence has dropped significantly. We will not get a better time, I don't think.
How significant?
Down to a handful."
And as you're doing this, you see more and more barricades are being put up to block off the side streets, to create passageway. Just looking around, you don't see a lot of guards in the area at present. The barricades are being mostly handled by civilians who are, part of the team that's bringing you the wonderful Day of Deliverance festivities.
Can Kidox, do we trust Kidox to know, to be able to fly up and see if there is a weave worm close by? If there is not, we could chance disguise within the city.
You mean in the courtyard?
I mean, I don't think we should do it out in the courtyard, but I just mean we were going to have to. The plan was to leave head outside the walls, right? To cast or are we casting the spell? Or are we going like this?
Are we
Is the
dressed?
spell
And he
we-
meant the courtyard for the weave worms, or you mean the surrounding area?
we discussed it so much now I can't remember what our final decision was vis-a-vis whether we're going with seaming or if we're just putting on uniforms.
Was the seeming was the backup, wasn't it?
That's the backup if we kind of get in a tight spot and need to
Change our personalities
back
all at once.
completely. Yeah. Okay. In that case, we do not need to leave the city to do this. I guess
So,
we just need to find a quiet
Were you going
area.
to go as the merchant then? Was that the goal?
I think we're putting on our guard uniforms and we're taking Smokey as a prisoner.
Okay,
Although,
but not using
was it
the...
because I went to find a group of people to
You
look
did go
like?
to find a group of guards, yes.
Did I do that on the off chance?
Let me
Did anybody
double
make
check.
a note of what our final plan was?
I thought I did have the final plan. Because I literally wrote the plan. Eska scouts a guard patrol to copy and uses those as the template for most of the group with Smokey as their prisoner thief to be taken down to the cells. So that's the plan that I had written down from the end of the session. Well, actually, I guess it wasn't the end of the session. It was the end of the day before.
Maybe we were going to do that and we were going to have the uniforms on in case something triggered the magic to drop. So we at least were dressed appropriately if things went awry. But that we were going to go with the disguise because that way we could go in as known guards and not have the problem of we don't recognize you.
God, I can't remember.
I mean, I think that sounds right.
That sounds familiar. Yeah. I think that's what you're going to do.
Because we determined that using the spell first. That way, if it didn't work, we would not be like in the middle of something and it not working. I think maybe that was it.
Right. Yes, because there's the
chance
potential
it
risk
doesn't.
with the spell.
And does somebody else have seeming? Oh wait,
No.
that's
We
not.
just have
That's
the
not what I'm thinking
scroll.
of. We just have the scroll, right? Nobody has
Yeah.
the spell. We
Well-
just have the scroll for the spell, right?
Yeah.
I don't have the spell, and I'm not at that level yet, but it is down one of my potential paths.
I think if I
If that-
remember rightly, we decided that weirdly I was the best one to try and cast it.
I think so. Oh, where's my...
Because yeah, it's available to sorcerers.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be a lower roll for me. And somebody
Yeah,
might have been
'cause
even
it's-
gonna cast like enhance ability or something to make.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
Claire.
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, enhance ability because that gives you advantage. Because it's a spell casting ability check.
Is enhanceability, how long is the timeline on that? 24 hours? That's a big one, I thought.
I think 24 hours is too long. It might be an hour.
An hour sounds right. Hold on, I've got it here.
I just didn't, if it was longer,
Yeah, 1 hour.
It
we
is
may have cast it earlier in the day.
concentration, right?
Yes.
Believe. Yep, there it is. So yeah, it would be I guess Eagle Splendor because no wait, yes.
Oh yeah, because it would be. would that
Advantage
count?
on charisma checks. It's a ability check.
Oh, I actually do make a check. It's a check using your an ability check using
Spellcasting
your
ability.
spellcaster, which is charisma.
Yes. So
Okay.
it's just a straight charisma roll because you don't have the proficiency involved. But you have advantage, and I think there was even talk of you could throw guidance on there as well. You can absolutely stack to tilt the odds in your favor.
Yeah, it sounds like what the plan was.
Yeah.
Oh, do we feel like we want to head for the gates quickly, or shall we see if we can find a quiet spot to do it, so we can get to our plan faster?
Wait, what do you mean quiet spot?
You know, like find a quieter alley or something where we can do some spell casting without being interrupted.
Oh.
Or are we just gonna full on walk out of the
No.
city where there's no guards at all?
Probably a quiet spot makes sense.
So we need to make sure there are no weave worms. Can Kedox do this, Silverius, reliably?
And Eska he was already flying up slightly, right? And that's like not uncommon.
I mean, yeah, there's there's a fair amount of things flapping around too.
Okay.
There's a lot of gulls, but also, yes, again, there's a number of exotic creatures flying around that have come in as a result of the festivities.
Savaris won't even hesitate, and Kedox will just take off and do a quick little circle.
I guess.
Throw me another
Yes.
perception.
Does it seem like we can find one of these alleys that's pretty quiet? Like if we, head away a touch from the hubbub?
You would think so.
Okay.
18.
You just have to look around and see if you can find one. 18. Okay. That's a pretty good roll there. So he is in the process of looking.
Eska's gonna try and look for a quiet alley, maybe encourage Bader to help. Seems like Bader's kind of skulky thing he would do.
Give me let's call this survival with advantage if just one of you is rolling.
Oh,
If
you,
you can-
you go for it, bud.
Find somewhere suitable.
I like that you're giving me advantage just by saying, "Go for it."
He did say that he was
Yeah.
looking.
Hey, you do things. You got it, boss.
I'm looking at Barder to tell him to look for. No, Esker's also looking.
Oh, forgot to roll it with advantage.
Who needs advantage?
I'll just roll it again. 23 for the first one. 20 for the second.
All right. You find a likely looking spot. It is a little ways, not too far actually, away from where you picked up your last clues. Off to the right from the, or like sort of, it's off to the right from where you'd been going, like heading back towards the core area. There's a few buildings that just sort of like close in a little bit. And there's definitely a little alley that just dead ends. And there's, there's a few doors that open out onto it, but, there's just a little bit of trash at the end. Doesn't look like it sees active use. You feel like this is as good a place as any. Kedox is looking around and reports, after like you kind of settle on a spot, he does a few like circular routes, wider and wider looking, and as he's doing that, you don't think there's any weave worms within certainly a few streets of anywhere close to you. The closest one he sees is heading away down the western road, probably towards the west gate again.
It should be clear.
Good. Whilst he's doing that, Esker's going to encourage everybody to put on their the what guard accoutrement they have as well. Just while we were waiting for Kedox, and then she'll be glancing at the scroll, trying to do her best to get a pre-read in. Okay. Hit me with your help. I will need it.
All right. Claire is going to upcast enhance ability because she's realized that there's a good chance that others may do some talking. And so she's actually going to pop the 1/4 level and target Eska, Cosette, and grudgingly Silverius with Eagle Splendor, giving advantage on any charisma check for the next hour, as long as she maintains concentration.
Cool.
Nice.
Very.
Anyone doing anything else before we read the spell on the scroll?
Just, I guess, pulling out the tabards or whatever.
Mhm.
Putting that on just as a backup.
Yeah, dressing, and then Savaris is gonna go ahead and cast Long Strider on himself.
Called it.
Can never be too sure. When you have the need for speed.
Oh, Claire doesn't even have guidance. Never mind. I say Claire. Claire would have said she couldn't give you guidance because she's already concentrating on something. But it doesn't matter anyway because she doesn't have it.
Actually, can I retcon that?
You can.
Can I cast Comprehend Languages on himself?
Mm-hmm.
Just in case. That will last for an hour.
Sure thing. All right. Anything else?
Do I Oh, you don't have to concentrate on seeming. Okay.
That's one of the reasons it's so good.
God.
Interesting.
It's a 5th level spell for a reason.
Well, in that case, I'm just really quickly seeing if there's anything I should be concentrating on. Probably not. Oh. There's nothing sensible. It's tempting to cast Alter Self so that I've got 3 layers of protection, but I'm just not going to.
What would seeming cast over that?
That's who even knows? It wouldn't matter though if I pick. Well,
one
it
of
might
the
do.
layer?
Yeah, that could get very
Or would it like
confusing.
mix the 2 images and you just look really weird?
Yeah.
You could be getting into that situation where you it's the same as mixing potions,
Yeah.
for which there are rules and they are scary.
I cause another rift.
Like putting a bag of holding into a bag of holding.
Is there anything you need to do, Smokey? You don't. You can't help me out, can you?
What do you need help with?
I sorry, I could barely hear that.
What do you need help with?
Just being really good at doing things.
Oh wow. When you put it like that.
An encouraging word, I mean anything.
Oh, I could make you faster.
That's probably not necessary.
So I got you.
Ooh, Eli, can you give your thing a knock? Oh, no.
Oop.
Oh.
Ah.
Perfect. Alright, well then,
Well, I think it is time.
I think it's time.
And
So,
to be
this-
clear, what is our desired destination?
We are going to head, we're initially going to head for the dungeons because I believe, from what we were told, that is also the direction we need to head to get, to where they may be being held. We're going to have to wing it a little bit once we get in there, but, that was our primary direction from what I believe Marius told us.
We are downstairs, right?
Yes. Hopefully the information he gave will be good enough that the visualization he gave us, we can seem confident in our movements.
He nods.
Alrighty. We'll say DC 15 with advantage.
Oh boy, that sounds quite
What
hard.
could possibly go wrong?
Uh,
If only he
All right.
had someone to guide him.
that would really actually be helpful. And this is a charisma roll, right?
Yes.
All right. Not a charisma save.
Claire doesn't have
Sadly not.
guidance, does she?
She doesn't.
Dang.
No. And she couldn't use it anyway
Oh,
because it's concentration.
that's right.
Oh man, this is not
But yeah,
actually
she's got like
that.
8 cantrips and guidance isn't one of them.
This is not actually that easy.
All I can do is calm your emotions about the whole situation.
I'll take it. All right, here we go.
Cast it on the group.
Oh, 23.
Never in doubt.
That second number is pretty bad.
This is why we have the Eagle Splendor.
Yep.
Sounds like a fantasy wrestler's name.
So as you read it, the scroll gently combusts in your hands and turns into ash and dissipates onto the floor.
You broke it.
And Severus, as you say that, you look at Eska and you don't see Eska anymore.
I'd like to think that the transformation is a little bit like Polyjuice Potion, where we gradually
I'll allow
morph into the creatures. Do you have any set thing in mind of what these guards look like?
No, not particularly. Just
All
look
right.
like a group of guards. So I guess you're doing the 5 of you, and then are you changing Smokey's appearance in any way?
Yes, I think I am, just so that should we break out of this, Smokey in Smokey's guard uniform will not be recognizable as the prisoner we just brought in.
Okay. Yep, that checks out.
So what I'm gonna do is the guards that I picked out.
Yep.
So Silvarius is going to be a 50-year-old human, pretty tall, with a big droopy mustache and tired eyes. Bardur is going to be a jolly-looking halfling with long, wavy blonde hair and a waddly gait. Cosette is going to be a stern-looking high elf female with black straight hair that kind of fans up off her head, almost like a mohawk with a ponytail. And
Not sure what that means, but I'll take it.
it sort of starts off as a mohawk, but then it develops into a longer at the back and into a long ponytail.
Okay, I'm into it.
Yeah, and then
You don't have a choice.
Well, I look sternly about the whole situation.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
She tries to portray that she's into it, but nobody knows. Claire is going to be a dwarf, but a male dwarf, with a big bushy grey beard, about twice the size of Bardur's beard, that just puffs out in all directions. And then just pretty short but almost afro-like hair on the head. That a helmet is put on top of, but doesn't quite sit right because the hair is so exuberant that the helmet is kind of on the tilt. And Eska is going to be a half elf, wood elf male, with kind of ginger hair that's just sort of shoulder length and a little wispy beard. And Smokey is going to be I think this is legal, is going to be a Kenku magpie.
Okay.
I think I've got everybody.
I think I got everybody.
Would I know what I am? Do I know that I'm a... Do I know what Kenku are?
Ooh, excellent question. Does Eska know what Kenku are?
She's done a lot of traveling.
That's true. As has Smokey. I would think, yes, you would both know what Kenku are. That seems reasonable.
Okay.
So yes, just be prepared for the challenge.
I would want to know that I how to play my part. If I know how to play my part.
Yeah, I just thought we'd have, maybe come across them in, having seen them being in the stocks in cities and whatnot, when we've passed through as thieves and such.
Yeah. Okay. That is quite a motley crew that you've assembled.
I mean, I didn't have a choice. I had to go by the guard troop that we saw. So.
That's true. That's very true. Your fingers were tied.
Yeah.
Okay. So, as the spell finishes taking effect and everyone kind of like slowly shifts into their new forms, Kedox does alert you to a weaver room a couple of streets over that seems to be heading in your vague general direction. With a guard. It's not just randomly roaming the streets on its own.
Okay. We should probably move. Edox detected what seems to be a guard and weaveworm approaching.
Yes, let's clear the area that has the magic vibes. And I guess it's time to head to the castle.
And so Varus looks around. He's like,
This was an interesting choice.
It was
looking at everybody in the party.
It was the first troop that I saw that had the right number.
As they're moving, he's like,
And what am I?
It's best that you don't know, Severius.
so he looks like a very tall and proud 50-year-old man.
Yeah, with a droopy moustache and sort of salt and pepper hair. That's sort of fairly short and cut in a reasonably ex-military way. But he looks very tired. He's got a tired
he doesn't.
face.
Well, his tired face does, but he's like, his body posture and everything is very not tired.
So what's your walking order here? And is Kedox still flying up?
I would probably have him make his way back down.
What's he gonna do?
He will for now, he'll just come back to me, to Silvarius, and
So Varys, you're going to have to hide him.
and he waves his hand, and if no one's around, he waves his hand, and Kedox disappears. Back into the
All right.
pocket dimension.
Eska will...
Yeah. So yeah. Order of walkiness, please.
Cosette, did Cosette get the spell as well? It was I know there were a few people.
Cosette, and Silvarius, and yourself.
Okay, knowing Cosette and knowing Silvarius, Eska will just politely suggest that maybe she and Cosette should lead. Or he and Cosette should lead. And that maybe two of the burlier looking fellows that we have can be in the second row with Smokey, holding, either side of Smokey.
I mean, Claire probably is quite burly looking right now.
Yeah, probably so.
Bardor, not so much.
Maybe.
Bardor's a waddly, surfer-haired halfling.
Yeah. I pull out my mirror to look, and I'm like, sweet merciful God.
I imagine that Silvarius is got a decent, Yeah, I think this is a guy that's become a guard after being an ex-soldier for a few years.
Mm-hmm. All right, so maybe we're looking at, let's say, Cosette and Eska at the front.
And so are we kind of
Where?
leading Smokey? Is that the idea?
I sort of figured that we were... I mean, in my mind, I was kind of figuring that we would be leading the troop, and then we'd probably have one at the back, and then the two in the middle would be holding Smokey, as if we were just
Yeah,
trying to make
okay.
sure that we had
Yeah, that
Smokey
makes sense.
surrounded.
Okay.
So, you head down the western road. That's the sort of the main route back in towards the center there. Pop out of the western road onto the courtyard, and well, it probably looks a little bit like this.
Oh, new map.
New map, who dis?
Zoom out.
Yeah, you're gonna have to zoom out quite a bit. It's a big map.
Zoom.
What? Oh, okay.
Whoa.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Oh, that's...
Not the enemy.
I was like, what in the world? We have been attacked.
So yeah, that's kind of how. Does that look about right then? How I have you guys laid out down there?
Yep.
I have to zoom back in again there.
So I've got Cassette, Eska front, Silvarius, Claire either side of Smokey, and then Dude Bardor in the back.
Yeah, that's sort
So
of
if you
what
say
I was
wavy blonde
imagining.
hair, I'm definitely thinking Surfer Bardor.
I like
which
the
is
idea
a
of
fun variation.
waddly surfer halfling Bardo.
Yeah. I mean, at least the pipe fits.
Yeah. His pipe is even longer than normal.
All right, so this is where we will leave off. As you get ready to approach the front gate, you see the large wooden doors are still open. You see 3 guards and 1 weave worm blocking the gate. You can kind of just about make out. It looks like there's 1 guard on either side. There is a passageway that leads above the gate. You just can't see it because the map only has 1 level. so that it's all connected. But yeah, ooh, like one big gatehouse type thing.
I guess this is it.
Yeah, we will pick up next time and see what happens.
Oh me.
It's still not too late to go back and do some egg hunting if you want to just put this on. We can get another hour of egg hunting before we go in.
Well, that's my. If we get caught, where's this? This isn't
Yeah.
where my clue told me to go.